Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 1 of the Crypto Hipsters Curtain Calls. What the curtain calls are clips and compilation combinations from seasons 6, 7, and 8. During seasons 1, 2, and 3, after seasons 1, 2, and 3, I put together Crypto Hipsters Chronicles. After seasons 4 and 5, I put together Crypto Hipsters Mysticals. I created all those episodes, made them into compilation books, and published the individual episodes as well. During season 6, 7, and 8, I interviewed 281 guests, all amazing guests from all around the world in the episodes, and that covered 2004 and 5, 2003, 4, and 5, and now creating them into compilation episodes for your enjoyment and for creating my books going forward. 6, 7, and 8 are amazing combinations, and I look forward to this episode. The first episode is insights on leadership, sustainability, and the global digital economy. For the past year, from September to this past September, I was a senior executive fellow at the Digital Economist. And while I enjoyed that opportunity, it was an amazing opportunity. I loved that I had 4 wonderful podcast episodes with people who I met at that organization that I'm presenting to you now. The first person is a 4-minute clip from our episode, which was in February of 2005, from my conversation with Dr. Nikhil Varma. He is a professor at Ramapo College. He was also the charge of the blockchain work group at the Digital Economist. And we cooperated and collaborated on a number of things, a number of articles, a number of projects, roundtables at the Digital Economist, and my conversation I hope you find enjoyable. That was from February. The second person in this compilation is Tristan Thoma. Tristan Thoma is the director, founder at Impera Strategy. And Impera Strategy is known for helping implement the Shiva wallet in El Salvador, where El Salvador implemented Bitcoin. So that's an amazing conversation. I talked to him in June of this past year. The third person in this compilation is Dr. Shruti Shankar Gaur. She is a thought leader in the areas of diversity, inclusion, AI, policy, you name it, in education. And so she is a wonderful thought leader. And the fourth clip is from Jen Criss, who is my 500th episode. At this point in juncture in time, I've had 550 plus episodes. Jen was my 500th episode, and she is a author, a consultant, a entrepreneur, a solopreneur, a tech innovator. She's an amazing person. So these 4 episodes cover areas of blockchain, sustainability, policy, AI, leadership, entrepreneurship. It's the first episode in the Crypto Hipsters Curtain Calls, and I hope you enjoy it. And I look forward to bringing you about 68 or so, 70 total Crypto Hipsters Curtain Calls. Enjoy these episodes, these clips, and then if you really want to tune in to listen to the full episode, they're all available on Spotify, on YouTube, audio, on Apple, and on iHeartRadio, and on my website, cryptohipster.tech. Enjoy.
I'll tell you what I think about blockchain first, right? Blockchain was created to solve real life problems, right? Blockchain, if you look at Satoshi Nakamoto's first message, Bitcoin, was a kind of an anti-establishment kind of a message. However, blockchain has moved out of that, and very rightly so. Otherwise, I don't think blockchain had a future if you were anti-government, anti-everything. Let's create a parallel economy. I don't subscribe to that view. However, that was the history. But for blockchain to be successful, we have to solve real life problems, right? And when you look at meme coins getting that kind of attraction, I feel sometimes that kind of noise is good in a very particular way, because it creates, people to come in and see, hey, what is this blockchain thing that people are talking about, right? I mean, when Bitcoin was $80, I remember a friend of mine calling and telling me, hey, can you help me sell Bitcoin? And $80, by the way, yeah. So he had 30,000 Bitcoin that time, and he sold it. And it's just that now nobody's going to call you and say, Jamil, can you help me sell 30,000 Bitcoins? Of course, they would not have 30,000 Bitcoin in the first place. Even 3 Bitcoin, you'll be like, you don't know that. You see, what happened is, when these things gain mainstream attention, there is a lot of good things that happens in that ecosystem, right? All of a sudden, people are suddenly talking about crypto again. They're talking about, hey, crypto is so cool, but crypto can be dangerous. Why don't we regulate it? So these regulators who were just flirting with this idea of crypto is good or not, and it was subject to interpretation, at least now they have a task cut out for them. I feel for crypto to be successful, we have to have clear regulations. If we don't have clear regulations, we are just contemplating that this would be adopted, this would not be adopted, right? A stable coin is a great tool for you to be able to do business in blockchain. Now, we've seen the previous Congress, they said we'll ban stable coin without understanding the underpinnings of what stable coin is all about. You get me? And if there is a US regulation that, hey, if we have a stable coin, if you are going to be using a stable coin or anything, a stable coin has to be asset backed, which is tracked, traceable, and these are the entities that this is the check boxes that you need to have. If it is collateralized, then you'd have to be under collateralized or over, depending on what is the risk outlook for that, right? So when we have regulations, it becomes safer, it becomes more mainstream. So I think meme coin, as long as they could hurt, because people lose money, people just are gullible, they're not, there is no kind of safety net set up here. You put 1,000 and you think next morning you'll wake up being a millionaire. That 1,000 turns into 10 cents, and then you start calling it a scam. It's essentially that, even in lottery you don't get that kind of a return of investment, if you see. So if you lose money in crypto because you were greedy, that was your call, right? But crypto is not only meant for making money or getting rich overnight.
Awesome. So I do want to get into Bolivia in a little bit. I do want to touch back on El Salvador, and I want to bring up Colombia, right? What do people often misunderstand about some of the projects that you've done in El Salvador and Colombia, and like what are the biggest misunderstandings?
Number one, everybody thinks that El Salvador was trying to move to Bitcoin. Like, no, that's not it. El Salvador added Bitcoin for the times and occasions and instances that it's better and easier and faster and cheaper to use a different tool. You use that other tool. So what El Salvador did is it became the first country to add that tool to its tool set in its national economy. As an example, there's one of the guys I met imports and exports cars. And I mean, he does most of his business in dollars, understandably. And for his international payments, he goes on and off of Bitcoin because it's faster and cheaper. Great. Perfect example. It's people often ask me like, oh, how much of the economy is actually using Bitcoin? The answer is, I don't care. The answer is Bitcoin is better in some cases. And a country has access to a better instrument in some cases, and they use it when they want to, and they can, and it's always available. Good. Other than that, use dollars, unless you want to use Bitcoin. In Colombia, as an example, what we did there was Bancolombia, the largest bank in Colombia. They do about 70% of the country's digital payments. They wanted to build crypto infrastructure And so they actually made their own stablecoin representation of the Colombian peso to make a trading pair of Colombian peso, USDC, Matic, ETH, things like that. So you can go directly from one currency to the other. And that's beautiful. Do I care how much volume is going over Bitcoin or ETH in their daily payments? No. And I think that's critical. That's the misunderstanding that people have. Like, I'm going to call out the crypto bros here. I know in some ways I could be seen as a crypto bro, but I'm a human bro, to be first and foremost. And as long as people have access to things that can help them in their situation, win. So that's the misunderstanding, is we're not trying to convert economies. We're not trying to convert, or there's no revolution that I'm part of. I'm not part of a revolution. I'm part of an evolution. We are evolving. When things organically and people organically and the market organically decides to use one thing over the other because they want to and they see benefits, good. That's empowerment. That's where innovators should come from. That's it.
What's your perspective on that rollback of DEI policies in the USA and around the world?
Great question. I would like to continue what I was saying, that again, DEI was a program. It was not a vision. So it was already, we were just pushing it to happen. And the moment that push, there was not enough reason to push it, which was from the government, sorry to say that. And that happened and it rolled back. I was not surprised when it happened. And I'm not worried even because it's happened. There is a snowballing effect across the world, because I have worked extensively in inclusion space at the ground level. One thing that I have understood is that you cannot teach people inclusion. The reason being that the cultural training or the cultural indoctrination, which is pasted on us all, because of there are so many cultural or unconscious biases, that it's difficult to go back to being who you are. Because when we talk of diversity, when we talk of equity and inclusion, these are fundamental values of being human. And that means the cultural training has ensured that we discriminate other person from us on the basis of caste, gender, region, language, religion, XYZ, all these parameters. So I and you are different and we don't become we. So I believe it's working backwards, going back to the core, removing those postings, understanding that at the core level, compassion is omnipresent, inclusion is omnipresent. I will give you an example. You might think that Shruti is talking too philosophical. So I was taking this workshop few years back, like at least 10 or 12 years back. I was taking this workshop in Delhi government school for pre-service and in-service teachers. And this was to orient them towards inclusive education, about inclusion and diversity, to embrace students of every kind, including disability. So for 2 days, I ran this workshop. We did a lot of work, a lot of activities, trying to, trying our best. And at the end of the workshop, after the workshop was completed, one of the teachers, she came to me and she said, ma'am, it was so good. You were so nice. But don't you think that disability is a curse from previous birth? How do you expect us to allow that child to be in our class with other children? You won't believe, Jamil, I was like, the 2 days I have completely wasted. And it's my failure that I couldn't, but I could not. Then I thought about it, contemplated it. I was so filled with sadness, I would say. Because I thought that how do I fight the cultural training that since childhood, this teacher who is well educated, who understands at the cognitive level that inclusion is important for if we want the whole society to grow, but the cultural indoctrination that disability is a curse from previous birth, how do I negate that? So that is why I believe inclusion for inclusion to happen, actually, it has to work at a very, that is why I work with children, if you ask me, because I feel that they are the most inclusive people. They are the most beautiful. They just love everyone. They don't discriminate. They are still without those cultural training and pastings. So I can work with them and I can show how beautiful the world is when we celebrate diversity.
What were some of those challenges that you faced and how'd you overcome them? Because I think a lot of people are going to be transitioning from the corporate America to Web3. So how did you do it and how could other people be successful and not go through the pain points and challenges that you and I did?
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's a lot of challenges you go through. You mentioned payment process is one of them. I'm still dealing with that. And I'll be honest with you, I'm still chasing after $100,000 worth of business, and I'm working on it. It's tough. The contract side of business is difficult. I think you learn as you grow and you start your own business. I used to have my own contracts, and then I quickly learned that I have to do things a different way. And so I put different types of agreements in place and, got smart about how I do that. I also learned how to fire business partners. I wasn't afraid to do that. If they weren't working with me and, for the same end goal, then it made sense to part ways. And so you have to be tough. You have to know when to say no and when to, test the waters and see if this partnership works. And if it doesn't, to move on and to keep looking for the right, business relationships that are going to, help your business succeed and move forward. You can't do it all by yourself. And I've learned that as a solopreneur. But you also don't have to grow and, you know, become too big too fast. I had consulted with one of the Shark Tank guys, and Damon John, and he gave me some great advice. And he said, don't get greedy. Just because everybody wants to create a startup and start with hiring a dozen people and having a Manhattan office, doesn't mean success. Success means, watching your bottom line and, being lean and mean. And that's what I've done. And, I'm not there yet. I did have an office in New York, but I had subcontractors, and, I brought people in when I need them. And I still do that now, even post COVID and working out of my home office. I know when to bring in resources and when not to, what I can do on my own, and when I need to, bring in outside partners to help me get something done. So knowing when to ask for help, I think, is important too. So those have been some of the challenges, and, you just need to know, how to go about managing that part of the business, I think, is helpful. And you learn from your mistakes and you learn how to grow as a business owner.
Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. This is Crypto Hipster. I hope you enjoyed the first compilation of the Crypto Hipsters Curtain Calls. Episode 1, Insights on Leadership, Sustainability, and the Global Digital Economy. I'm interested in your thoughts. Is blockchain a sustainable solution? Is it a sustainable technology? Are there other countries like El Salvador who need to build Bitcoin, implement Bitcoin for their nation, for their people? What is the future of diversity, inclusion, and AI? And then what is it like for you if you are, as a solopreneur? What do you think some of the challenges will be in your leadership style? Let me know your thoughts. I always ask for your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. You can post them on this episode. You can reach out to me via email. You can reach out to me on my website. You can contact me through LinkedIn. You can DM me on X. I'm interested in knowing your thoughts. Have a wonderful day and look forward to coming in a couple days. Look forward to episode 2 of the Crypto Hipsters Curtain Calls. I'll see you soon.